everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you our spring books. In fact, this year I have so many spring books. I'm going to do two videos. This is part one and there'll be a part two. And of course, if you want to check out all the other spring books that I've shared over the years, there are loads of videos on this YouTube channel sharing those books, and also spring baskets and that kind of thing as well. So do check those out. And of course, if you're not subscribed, do go hit the subscribe button, give this video a like if you enjoy it, and do leave me a comment as well. So let's get started. Yeah, it's always like such a surprise to me when we change into a new season. I know it shouldn't be, but right now it's actually snowy outside. We're in March and it feels very much like winter. But getting the new spring books out always is such an uplifting, joyous activity for me, and also for my children, who just go crazy when I switch over the books. They get so excited. So this year I have got a few favourites from the previous years, but I have also got quite a few new books as well. So I'll walk you through what we have, and if you want to have more of a thorough review and look inside, I will link my Instagram account. I've got two Instagram accounts. One is my sort of lifestyle one, and one is specifically for seasonal books and also children's activities. And I'll link that below, and then you can check out some of them in more close-up detail. Or if you want to look inside a specific one, you can leave me a DM over there and I will show you. So yes, let's start over here. So of course you can't have springtime without bunnies, and this is a beautiful book called Beatrix and Her Bunnies, and this is the story of Beatrix Potter. I absolutely love to pull out all our Beatrix Potter books in the springtime, and there's so many springtime favourites, like the story of Gerda Muller Fisher, obviously the classic Peter Rabbit story, so good, and my kids adore them. But this book is really interesting because it actually gives an insight into what Beatrix Potter's life was like. The illustrations in this are exquisite. They are by Caroline Bon Miller, I believe. And you can see there, they're just so enchanting. Such a sweetly illustrated story, and also really interesting as well. And I think one that both of my children will really enjoy. So really excited to read this together as a family. Now, with St. Patrick's Day not too far away, and the fact that we live in Northern Ireland, I had to include something that had some kind of Irish reference. And this book came up quite a few times as a sort of recommended book for us, and I thought I would give it a go. It's called OSullivan Stew by Hudson Talbot. And it says on the back, when Kate O'Sullivan and her family set out to steal a horse from a king's castle, they're caught red-handed and brought before the angry king. Quick as a wink, Kate makes a deal. If she can convince the king that each of them has been in a worse situation than they are at the moment, he'll let them all go free. So I think this is just a really good adventure story. I presume it's set in Ireland. I have not read this, which is very naughty. I probably should have read it before I did this video. But it has got some really great pictures. Obviously this is one for slightly older children because there are monsters in it, and the story is much longer. But I thought this would be quite fun, and one that we can read as a family and sort of get into the spirit of St. Patrick's Day. Next up is one of my favourite little series, and it's Eva Marie Heiman's Fruhling, which is Spring. Now this is actually a wordless book, so don't worry, that is actually a German publication. And it's very beautiful because it goes through the season of spring, using these beautiful pictures to illustrate all the different seasonal changes and all the activities you might do as a child. It's really enchanting. Longevity in it as well because there are no words in it. So I love this one. And one that's very similar is Gerda Muller's Spring. So I've had these spring, summer, autumn, winter books from Gerda Muller for a really long time now. And actually they've reissued a new edition. It's pretty much the same, but I think there is one change. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the original one of these, there was a picture of the little girl sick. And I can't see this in this one. I could be wrong, but I think they have taken... Oh no, she is still there. There she is. Which is also very fitting because the amount of colds and flus going around at the moment is crazy. So yes, it's exactly the same inside, but so charming. Again, really nice one for kids of all ages. You could use this to inspire a child to write a story as they get older, using the pictures as a kind of starting point. And of course, when you've got younger children, you can just point out all the lovely things in the pictures and sort of talk about what's happening. So Wordless books always get a huge thumbs up from me. This is a new addition to our bookshelves this year, and it's one that I've had my eye on for quite a long time, and it's Where Do They Go When It Rains, again by Gerda Muller. So on the back it says, Luke and Marion go for a walk with big cousin Steph, spotting lots of animals on the way, but when they get to the pond it starts to rain. The twins love splashing about in the rainy puddles, but what about the animals? Where do they go when it rains? So this is, as you'd expect from Gerda Muller, exquisitely illustrated. So many beautiful details to see, and a really charming, gentle story. Just look at that, so beautiful. I'm such a fan of Gerda Muller's. I just love her work so much. And then also lots of lovely splashy rain as well, which is perfect for this time of year. And to be honest, this would be perfect for summer as well up here because it rains all the time. A lovely book that goes really well with any rainy themed books is Mud by Mary Lyn Ray. I've shown this so many times, so I'll just flick through very quickly, but it's a very sort of poetic, gentle, Waldorf-y story about a child exploring all the sort of sensory sort of elements of mud. So really beautiful, and one that we love. Moving on to another cute board book. I like to show some board books in these videos as well, because I know that when you've got slightly younger children, board books are so fantastic, and also there are some really gorgeous ones out there that I still love. And Toby, actually, although he's 3, he loves board books still, so we do actually have a lot of board books in our collection. This is a National Trust Nosy Crow book, and this is Big Outdoors for Little Explorers Countryside. It's got lovely flaps, and it's got some little facts about the countryside in it, and then really fun little sort of special effects, I guess. Little bee, there's a spinny one here. I just really like this. I think it's so sweet. The illustrations are really lovely on this series, and a nice one for little kids who want to learn a little bit about the countryside as well. Another one that we've had before is Rosies Hat by Julia Donaldson and Anna Curry. This is the story of a little girl who has a hat that blows away in the wind, and eventually she finds it when she's all grown up. And this one's a nice one when you're talking about themes of weather. And in spring, I always tend to talk a lot about wind and rainbows and rain, so I do like to include this one in our seasonal shelves. A new one this year is this very sweet book called 5 Little Chicks, and this is by Lily Murray and Holly Surplice. I just couldn't resist the illustrations in this. I thought they were so colourful and beautiful. It's a really simple story of like 5 little chicks went out one day, and then obviously the mama hen finds them, and it's quite interactive, so you can lift the flaps and your children can point out and count as well the chicks. The illustrations are the thing that really pulled me to this, and obviously the flaps are great fun too, but you can see it's just absolutely gorgeous. And both my kids love this, so a really gorgeous one. And quite a fun one for Easter as well, so very sweet. Really like this one. Crackle, Crack, It's Spring by Marion Dane Bauer, illustrated by John Shelley. This one I have shown you before. We've had this, I think, for about a year. I think I got it last year. And this is the story of a little boy that follows a bear, or it could be a girl, and they see some sort of signs of spring, and at the end there's a massive spring explosion. Really cute and fun for children. Like We're Going on a Bear Hunt, this is a nice sort of slightly more grown-up version of it, and again it talks about all the lovely sort of things that you'd see at springtime, so a very cute book. Another firm favourite of mine is Diana White's Blue on Blue. This has got incredible illustrations by Beth Cromis. Let me just show you. And this is a lovely poetic story about different shades of blue, and also talks a lot about rain as well. Very beautiful pictures to look at and explore together as you're having your story time. and a nice one for spring, but again would also be lovely in summer on a rainy day. So really can't recommend Dianne White's work enough. She is really talented and always collaborates with incredible illustrators. I mentioned rainbows, and here is a rainbow of my own by Don Freeman. This is a little second-hand book I picked up. It's got sort of quite an 80s feel to it, but it's really sweet. It's all about rainbows. Nice simple story, very visually compelling, I think. So a lovely one to have at springtime. A bird builds a nest. This is from the brilliant science storybook series by Walker Books, which we really love. This one is all about forces. So we're exploring the sort of scientific ideas of forces, but also learning about birds building nests. Next up is Hello Spring by Jo Lindley. On the back it says, after a whole year of waiting, it's spring's turn to wear the weather crown and create her own special season. Her friends can all remember how beautiful spring was last time, but this time, as winter places the crown on her head, spring starts to feel anxious. Can her friends help by showing her that not everything has to be perfect? So while this is actually about spring, in the sense, you know, the little fairy is a spring fairy and it's all about the change of seasons, the overriding theme is actually emotions in this, and mastering anxiety and the importance of friendship. So a nice little sweet story for any child that might be tackling those themes. A beautiful new book by Usborne is this gorgeous Peep Inside a Bird's Nest. I had to have this when I saw this. I love the Peep Inside series, and this is one of their newer ones, and it's all about a bird's nest, which is obviously perfect for this time of year. It's so sweet with little eggs and the baby chicks. Absolutely gorgeous. Such a lovely book for learning about birds. So we haven't yet really read this together as a family, but it's going to be such a treat for the boys later, and I cannot wait to read it together as a family. I think the illustrations in this are particularly nice, actually. I don't know if it says here. Yeah, Stephanie Fizzer-Coleman has illustrated this, and it is really lovely. So a gorgeous little book that would work really well if you just wanted like one simple spring book. I would really recommend this, or maybe for an Easter basket, be a really nice addition. Another fan favourite from last year is Growing Frogs by Vivian French. This is again one of the Walker Books nature storybooks, which I've talked about loads and loads. Absolutely massive fan of those nature storybooks. This is all about frogs, and this is a great story actually, because not only is it visually incredibly engaging with the gorgeous bright colours and lovely illustrations, but it also gives lots of information on frogs and how they grow, and in this case how this girl looks after them and then releases them out at the end as well. Really good, and one that's very perfect for this time of year actually, because we have been going out and exploring frog spawn out in the pond on the farm. So a lovely one to have in our collection. So Toby wants to show his own book, which is this one. He's just brought it to me. And I wasn't going to include this in actually our shelves, although we do have this out and about in the house, because I showed this last year as part of our morning basket. But this is the RHS How Does a Frog Grow? Toby's watching me, making sure I do a good job. And this is actually a really lovely book for learning about frogs. I really like the photographic element in this. And there's flaps to lift and loads of facts about frog spawn. Really nice one. I don't know if they do any more in this series, but I must check it out. But yeah, if you're looking for more frog books, Toby says this is a good one. Okay, so almost done. A lovely little board book that I think I might have shown here before, maybe not. But this is by Lewis Ehlert, and it's all about sowing seeds, but also mainly colours. This is such a charming sort of rainbow inspired colour book. So beautiful if you still have a little one learning their colours, or you want to reinforce the colour concepts with them. So gorgeous. I love this one. I had to include it. Now, possibly one of our favourite new books is Grab That Rabbit by Polly Faber and Bryony May Smith. And just look at that cover. Now, if you like Peter Rabbit, you are going to like this. It's very similar, except there's this rabbit called Hodge. Just look at that illustration, it's amazing. And there's a gardener who is called Mrs. Spratt. And basically she's very angry because Hodge keeps eating things from her garden, but he ends up escaping from her wrath, but they become friends at the end. He doesn't turn into a rabbit pie, don't worry. And just look at this picture. For anyone who likes cozy kitchens, look at this. Oh, it's so beautiful. I really, really like the illustrations in this. But they become really good friends at the end. So it's a really sweet story, but there is a little bit of like scary bits in it where you think, is the rabbit going to be turned into a pie, or is it going to get caught by the buzzard? Definitely my 3-year-old found those bits a little bit scary, but he enjoyed them. And the fact it all ends up nicely at the end is great. So this is really high up on my list of like books that I really, really enjoyed out of some of the new ones I've read this year. And like I said, the illustrations are exquisite, so definitely get your hands on this. It's great. Percy the Park Keeper's Secret Path. This is just one from our Nick Butterworth collection. We have loads of these Percy the Park Keeper stories, and I just love how gentle they are. They're really sweet. They're great for children who are starting to read themselves, and they can sort of follow slightly longer storybooks with lots of pictures, and they're so engaging and fun. And I love that this one's got a spring theme, so a nice one to add in. Second last book is Nesting by Henry Cole. This is about a little robin, an American robin now, who is building a nest, and it sort of goes through its life cycle and it's making a nest. Actually, the illustrations are particularly beautiful for this. The nest building, really gorgeous, and I love that it's in black and white. Actually, it's slightly different, and then the egg is in this beautiful blue. So you can see there, really, really stunning. So it goes through the whole sort of story of what it's like to raise chicks. And then we've got a little snake, so predator as well. But they get rid of the snake, so that's good. And then seeing their little fledglings and ready to sort of fly the nest. Really beautiful. So a really charming one if you want to share a story about, you know, bird life, bird nests. If you would feel like your child's a little bit young for something like this, you could try something like this, or you could have both together like I do. Last but not least is this beautifully sweet book, The Story of the Root Children by Sybil von Olfers. Now this is one of my favourite books. I just love the illustrations in these, but I also love this story of these little root children sewing and making their beautiful brightly coloured clothes to emerge out in the spring. Just so charming and really captures the imagination. I also love these dinky small editions that you can get from florist books. Really beautiful. Again, a great one to add into a seasonal basket or like an Easter basket. Very sweet. So that is all the books that I've got for part 1 of my spring videos. There is a part 2 which I'm going to film after this one, so excuse, I'll be wearing the same jumper and I will look equally disheveled in the second video. I've got Toby piling up books beside me, which is very sweet. But I hope this has given you some great ideas of books that you might want to read with your children in the coming months. Support the channel. Please, please do consider becoming a patron. I'll link it below. I've got a starter tier if you just want to support the channel and just, you know, with a low level monthly contribution, which would be great, and you can cancel anytime. But there's also the rooted community within that, which is a insanely wonderful place. It's a great community where I share a seasonal workshop each month, which is really great value. They're about an hour long, and as a folk herbalist, a lot of it is about sort of seasonal herbs, ways to connect with nature. But I have got a whole schedule up for what's coming in the spring. I have got a seasonal circle coming up. I've got a slow parenting workshop, which is going to be fantastic. I think off the top of my head, I'll probably take you on a foraging walk here on the farm. And of course, if you want to ask me any questions at all, that is the place to go. I'm more than happy to do a Q&A video if there's enough questions, or I'll just reply back directly to you. So if you haven't become a patron and you have been enjoying my videos, do go and support me, because otherwise it's just hard. It gets harder and harder to justify the time to make the videos. I I am also thinking about creating a course. A lot of you have asked me for some kind of like seasonal guides or some kind of seasonal guide course. I am going to try and create that somewhere in the midst of everything else. So if you have any questions or if you have any ideas for me on what you would like to see in maybe like a printable PDF that can accompany each month or something like that, let me know and I will try and create something beautiful for you. And yeah, I think that's it. I will leave you to it and I will start filming part 2. And yeah, I hope you have a beautiful spring. Bye!